Yeah.
Carrie, you are always a bit quiet.
I can't get any closer.
Oh, that
How's
sounds
that?
good.
How's
I
that?
think yeah. That's actually insanely loud.
Yeah,
now.
great. We could just do a whole podcast about this, you know. They don't like just.
Welcome to Boomer FM.
Is this thing on?
I'm sorry. We are extremely technologically literate. Welcome to So Uncouth, a podcast filled with conversations you can't have in polite company. I'm Victoria Hannaford, a recovering journalist. I'm with Caroline Craig, an actor.
And Luddite.
And our friend, the mysterious Bunsen Bennett. We don't know whether she's got expertise in science, technology. We do know, however, that she ascended the grassy knoll of an arts degree. Fact or fiction, Bunsen?
Well, listen, I think the fact is we can all agree I'm pretty good at most things I turn my hand to.
I back it. I back it
yeah.
100%.
Including spotting some spelling errors. And I can see one right now because for the Uncouth, who I'm sure are listening and hanging off every word, we are looking at each other remotely. And so it's like a Zoom situation. And I can see, Caroline, you've got something that you need to tell me. Have you been lying
She's changed
about
her
your
name.
name the whole time I've known you? Or is your last name, because I always thought your last name was spelled Craig, Craig, but I see it here before me, Creag.
It's Creag. Yeah. All this time, guys,
Caroline Craig on a crag.
Right.
So all I'm saying is I don't know. She must have typed her name in when she typed her name in. But
You know when that was? Before I put my glasses on, okay? So, yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy
Boomer
it.
FM,
guys.
like I said.
And like I said, I'm very good at lots of things. Like I say, spotting errors and even better at pointing them out.
Lawyer. That's what I'm saying to you. Right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
a stickler for
Pedant.
detail.
We are three friends who live in three different cities, although do we even know each other, Caroline Creag? And you're joining our weekly catch-up, and we're delighted you're here with us. Now, Bunsen, we've got to get straight to the data, okay? Last week, we promised that we would do a poll.
Oh, did we promise that we would do a poll?
Yeah. Well, that we do some sort of scientific research.
Okay.
I don't know how scientific it is.
Yeah.
I promised to post a picture of the mouldy roll on Instagram.
The mouldy roll that was
From your car.
the one that was found in
The
my car.
infamous mouldy roll. I mean, look,
The infamous mouldy roll, yeah. The mouldy roll poll, as I like to call it, and some results. The data is in. Now,
What was the question?
I'm sending
Okay.
to you because the data may have been skewed a little bit by the design of the mouldy roll poll, which was, how barfy is this? And you move the little emoji along the sliding scale depending on how barfy you found it. So unfortunately it was a presumption of barfiness.
So it was in true form. You should have left this in my hands. Like, honestly, I can't believe you didn't ask a yes or no question. You didn't give a multiple choice. You gave some sort of sliding scale thing that you don't even know you can touch. You out-logicked this situation, Victoria.
Yeah. And I did one that was along the lines of which is grosser, this roll or a dog-soiled backseat. Didn't get as much engagement. So
Just soiled is just lame. It's not soiled.
listen, we're in an attention economy, right? So I had to go for the thing that people felt easiest. Less reading, more swiping.
More
I
clicking.
suppose, I mean, I was looking at it more from a data and analytical perspective because I was kind of going, well, how is this data interpreted? So anyway, God, Comet is obviously, he's got some data.
He's raging.
Yeah, sorry, I've come in very critical. I obviously don't want to hear the answer. I'm really stalling.
So unfortunately, it was maximum barfy. So I did try it your way, Bunsen. I did get the data design of it, and I knew that we'd have some issues, but I went for the easy option, and the data is unanimous. It's maximum barf.
Wow, it's very black and white. It was just on or off, wasn't
But
it?
I think,
Max barf. Not min barf, or not even
Max barf.
med barf, which is
well,
min
I
barf.
think context is everything, man. You know, and and
totally.
like this is kind of like how barfy is this seeing it just pop up on my phone. it was really in the context of, as you say, a dog soiled or shat on, as I prefer to say, shat on back
Shat
seat.
on? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shadon's
Totally.
much
But I
clearer.
did-
I think you would have got better results with Shadon.
I know, but there's all sorts of rules. I can't have Mark Zuckerberg after me. I've got enough beef.
Can you get kicked off? Like, is it like Donald Trump and X? Like, what can we do here?
No one's getting kicked off X because since Elon Musk took it over, it is just a right-wing cesspit.
It's a free-for-all, right?
It's not a good place. We're not on X because it's gross out there. But Instagram, it's a fun, friendly place.
Unlike in my car, which is apparently
Exactly.
unbelievably gross. So basically, what's happened, it's come back from the couth, is that my car is extremely, quote, barfy. And not only
The
that.
roll is barfy.
Yeah, okay, but the roll was found in my car. But also that you guys are really where's your judgment?
So uncouth.
You are so uncouth. That is right. I mean, I suppose
Yeah.
that is one thing that we can take home from this is that when it comes to arbiters of couth,
We're going into arbitration.
We've got barely a mouldy roll to stand on.
I think we named ourselves very accurately.
Guys, I think we touched on something last week that I felt could be a double-header deep dive because the both of yous were participants in a little something from the 90s called Vinyl Discharge. And I would really like to go into it a little bit more deeply because we really just skated the surface when we discussed Caroline's role as treasurer. Did she do anything else in the band?
I was the lead singer, guys. I was up the front. I was
Exactly.
That was her cover for Fraud. That was the only reason
It's
that
my
she
money
was
laundering
That
scheme.
was the only reason she was involved in the band at all.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, so for this section of the pod, I'd like to take on the role of investigative journalist.
Oh, okay.
Ask the probing questions for the both of you to answer. So you're both in the hot seat. I don't know what kind of zingers are coming your way. But firstly, I want to hear from both of you. How did the band get together? What's the backstory? What's the origin of Vinyl Discharge?
It was just a joke. Like it
Well,
was.
might have been to you, Caroline.
It was at a New Year's Eve party on Drummond Street, I believe, in Carlton, and with a few uni mates. And I think it was probably later in the night rather than earlier. And we said, ha, 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 we should form an all-girl band and we should call it Vinyl Discharge. And then by the time everyone was rolling out of there at like 4 a.m., it was like, see you on Thursday. We've got a rehearsal space. And then we all just weirdly turned up. Obviously, we had no jobs. And we just all turned up the following Thursday. And there was and that was the brilliant, I have to say, probably the brilliant storyteller and lead songwriter, I would say, Sarah, who was brilliant. And she just really drove it. And then there was Battle of the Bands. It was a competition. We're all just deeply competitive. And that was coming up. And we said, oh, yeah, let's enter that. Let's enter that. Let's enter as an all-girl band and call it Vinyl Discharge. That was the level that it was at. Joke band. And joke band, we won Battle of the Bands. Do you remember that? Do you remember that, Bunsen?
Mate, all I can say is, I was in a few other bands at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And
He was too cool. In fact, I don't even know how she had
You
any
were the
time
Dave
for us.
Grohl of the 90s
She's
Melbourne
the
Uni
Dave Grohl
band
of
scene.
North
I
Carlton.
was playing the drums very loudly and screaming into a microphone at the same time. I wouldn't call it singing. But so I remember it was a very different experience for me being in this band in Vinyl Discharge compared to some of my other more serious enterprises.
You were.
But Vinyl Discharge was actually the most successful.
You know what made us successful, I reckon, is that we rehearsed in your parents' house, in your bedroom, and we were always, as we climbed through in our holy black stockings, we were always standing on crutch-up undies that were all over the floor. They were always your laundry. We're always basically just standing in your laundry basket, your floor
Which was
dry.
my entire room.
That's
Yeah.
right. And then we practiced maybe too many times. And didn't the EPA? Didn't we get a complaint from
Oh,
the
yeah,
EPA?
we had some noise pollution complaints. You
Yeah.
may have also seen my father naked.
Wow.
Like, a lot of things happened.
That
Who
was
came up with the
exciting.
name?
That it all fed into the work.
Yeah.
Deeply.
So who came up with the name? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't really like to give credit to other people very often, but I'm pretty sure it was you.
It was me.
Yeah.
I just don't know why we didn't have a song called Crotch Up Undies. And I think that could actually be our comeback.
Okay, that neatly gets to my next question. What were your big hits in Vinyl Discharge?
Over to you, Bunsen. You remember.
Well, I remember one of the ones that was really great was I Hate Tanya.
Who hated Tanya and why?
That was
Listen,
Sarah. She had a long running beef from when she was bullied by this girl at school. And she came in, she said, I've got a song for us. Boom! And then she started playing, and we were like, right, wow. And it went like this, and after all this time. And then it went like that. And we just all went into mad harmonies and just singing about, I hate Tanya. Went like that.
It was great.
It went on and on. It was massive. It was glam rock, I reckon.
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
much.
it was a glam rock kind of vibe. And I also, I mean, I hated Tanya. I'd never met Tanya.
Oh.
But they're singing their song because, of course, I was screaming from behind the iron cage. I was screaming, I hate Tanya. Like it was
Tanya.
yeah.
I did a sort of descant.
Oh, you were always bringing in your classical training, no matter where. Every now and then I'd hear this kind of operatic kind of situation, which I have to say was a lovely counterpoint to my more gravelly style of vocal.
Grunge.
Yeah, but the thing is that we had a very creative lineup of people who've all gone on to be quite successful, I would say.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And there was guitar, drums, vocals, of course. And then we had this fantastic, there was Perry and Lauren. We had a great keyboard and brass section. I mean.
And we were the only band that had a trombone.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was, yeah.
We had niche, guys. We had a hidden advantage. We cut through. And I think it was also the fact that we're an all-girl band and we're in Melbourne in the 90s. So we're riding on the zeitgeist of a really great band scene and a live music
Riot
scene.
girl energy.
Exactly. And so, I mean.
Except we were totally, I was sort of participating in that riot girl. Well, sort of. Like, I was much more rock and roll.
Yeah, you were coming up with sort of Courtney Love vibes.
Yeah, exactly. I would go to parties dressed as Courtney Love. I did do that, actually.
So you're saying this was more of a cabaret enterprise?
Oh, that is the word. It was weirdly cabaret.
Performance art.
I did find that genre, that was tricky for me to straddle. But, I had the most fun with you guys. And what band are we still talking about decades later?
We didn't take it too seriously, especially the treasury part of it.
Which I did find a little frustrating. People didn't take it too seriously.
So are the big hits included?
Disco. It's like a disco in here that I wrote the lyrics to that was about masturbation.
I actually don't know if that was one of our biggest hits, but Caroline does seem to talk about it a lot.
I'm still singing it.
She's still singing it every night by herself.
It's like a disco in here. I was trying to do a bit. Let's just say it was solo enterprise. It was maybe masturbatory. Let's be honest. It was self-pleasuring.
You were just having a massive noodle on stage.
I did just want to say Poppy King, who was a lipstick queen, who's recently actually launched another kind of business or whatever.
Has she?
Yeah, she has. But she had a series of matte lipsticks, and Perry wrote a very clever song about Poppy King.
Lipstick queen.
Yeah, she could. I'm sure she could sing word for word the whole thing. Well, probably you could. Don't know if you want to.
Feisty child sent to Melbourne to improve our smile. Made the stick that lives on all our lips. Beauty tips from the queen on the scene. It went like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's really clear. It was great. She's very clever.
She was iconic.
Yeah,
really.
and it was so Melbourne in the 90s. Like everyone, I think, we were hoping for some sort of cash for comment. We were hoping for a little
Sponsorship.
bit of kickback. Yeah.
SponCon.
And we always had dreams of like getting that big that we got on GMA or something.
I was heavily involved in student television at the time. I could have got you a gig.
You could have got us on, and we could have got some of those sweet lipsticks.
What happened there, Victoria? You were involved in student television, and why were we not on screen?
She was cutting us out.
She thought she could do better, but look, now she's here with us.
She's back on her knees. I told you she'd be back.
There was a young TV personality known as Rove McManus who had his own show, and I interacted with him a bit. That's the only thing I could have maybe got you guys involved in. He was very much emulating the late night show format. He wore a suit.
We were wearing suits. We could have been on that show with him because
Yeah.
we were wearing
You could have.
suits.
You would have connected, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's why you kept us apart.
Yeah, she was frightened of our 70s suits.
Fucking hell. We could have gone. Jesus, we could have ridden that wave.
So we could have got our Doc
I
Marten
don't know.
boots
You
in.
might have been too edgy for him.
The main thing I'm taking away from this conversation is that Victoria, I mean, I don't know whether or not to thank you or not, because I do feel that you actively obstructed Vinyl Discharge's
You put
path
the
to
kibosh
greatness.
on the
We could have been
discharge.
on TV, and once the world had seen us, just we won Battle of the Bands. Next thing, it was Wembley for us. If it hadn't been for you, so I don't know. But
Okay, all right.
we could have gone down a different road. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to acknowledge what you've said, Bunsen. I want to acknowledge the hurt and the pain, and I want to say I'm sincerely sorry. Okay. Okay, back to the investigative journalism. Now, I think I know the answer to this. Did you make any money? The answer is no. Thank you, Caroline Kriag. Okay? Okay. So, Bunsen, something that you said off mic last week was that it was a bit of a tumultuous time. There was a lot of interpersonal tension. So this is the Fleetwood Mac era of Vinyl Discharge.
It was a formative
Why did
time.
you break up? What happened?
I actually,
it was my fault. It was all my fault.
why was it your fault, Caroline? Because my recollections are pretty hazy around this time.
Well,
'Cause
there was
you-
building tension. Okay, we had some fans, and we burnt hot, guys. We were hot. We
flamed
flew
out on
high. We
top.
flew high to the sun. We flew very close to the sun, and I believe we were at the Empress of
Mhm.
India. Yeah, we played a lot of gigs around there,
Oh.
and they were about to do some renovations. There might have been something happening there, but anyway, there was one fateful night, and we were supporting, I believe, Egg the Mountain, which had, Ollie Brown. It had some luminaries. Sarah asked me to hold her guitar just before the gig started, and she said, "I've got to go to the dunny. I've got to do a wee." And we were all on stage. We'd done the sound check. Everyone was there. It was heaving. People were smoking, like they did indoors in those days. It was great. And can you hold my guitar, my new guitar that she'd just saved up all of her money from working some terrible job, not from working in the band, unfortunately, to pay for. And whatever you do, don't hold it by the strap. And then she went to the toilet. Do you remember this?
I do, but I do.
Yeah, I know, it was bad. And then whatever you do, don't hold it by the strap. I turned around, probably flirting at someone who I was hoping to go home with that night, and held it by the strap. And and it went boom, splash, and I split the neck of the guitar.
Shit.
I know, and this was on stage in front of hundreds, thousands of people at the Empress.
I feel like maybe I was there that night. I have some kind of
you were there.
recollection.
I think it was you. We're in
Things
front
kind
of
of
you.
got
Okay, basically, we're in front of you.
chaotic and incendiary, it felt like.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And then Sarah was out, and then she came back in, and then I think it might have been someone from Egg the Mountain said, "Oh, you can play our guitar," but it was heated emotions. Things had built actually, and that was just I think it was the camel or the neck of the guitar that broke the band's back. And then we didn't actually play that gig. And you know what I did? I went and bought a lot of beers.
With whose money?
Yeah, that's where it all went. Very good.
I
We thought we were going to come back from that, but then I mean, Sarah didn't come back from the toilets and then she just left. So it wasn't a great moment. It's a bit of a fizzle.
Fizzle?
What's your recollection?
I think I was a little oblivious to some of these tensions that had been building, like allegedly.
Because you're just like in the back drumming, right?
Well,
You've got your own world.
She's just pounding it out, man. She's
pounding it out. And I was in quite a few bands and they all had their own political ecosystems. Do you know what I mean? And after a while, I was just like, I had another band that had far more drama going in.
Oh, yeah, you had some serious stuff going on in yours.
Yeah, so I kind of, Vinyl Discharge was light relief in some ways. So, and we were all mates kind of more than we were bandmates, you know.
Yeah.
So
but there was a weird love triangle going. Do you remember that? There was a bit of a love triangle.
No,
happening.
I'm always oblivious to love in general.
Well, everyone was in love with you, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you. And you were just behind the cage making love to the skins.
But slapping them down. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We can keep that
there was a bit
going.
of a love triangle. There was stuff happening. Yeah. There was someone who was a fan who then sort of came in and, you know.
Wow, that sounds very
came back and told us that
dramatic.
You know, Sarah wasn't coming back and pack up, you're out.
Oh gosh.
And Vinyl Discharge was done and dusted until the reunion tour.
I know, it was sad. But, you know, we've all stayed friends. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
And there's always a threat of getting the band back together.
Let's move on to something completely different. In my past week, we were celebrating a birthday for a younger family member. So yet another Taurine. We're all Taurines. It's 3 Taurines and a microphone. That's the alternative name of this podcast. So we were having a family celebration and it was a lovely time. Food, drink, general merriment. And then it was time for the cake. There was singing of happy birthday. And just before the cake was cut, there was a family howl. Now, it goes back to one of my uncles, known informally as Uncle Dog Dog. There was, back in the mists of time, a family occasion where he howled and people joined in. Not dissimilar to the way people might have copied what a king was doing in previous times in order to normalise what might have been viewed as odd behaviour. And now we do it all the time as a family, and frankly, we look like the nutty ones.
Can you just sing the last word?
I want a demo.
I need to know what this howl is.
It's just a howl. It's like imagine a full moon.
No, but like is it like happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you?
And then it's done. And then there's someone
to whatever it is.
And then someone just starts a family howl. It almost
and everyone just goes, oh,
spontaneously. Yeah. Oh, and everyone gets into it in their own different way. I don't know if I participate.
Sometimes it's the Hannaford howl. That's what it is.
Great. Because do you know?
I think it's lovely.
I think it's so great because do you know what we have?
What do you have? What's your unusual family tradition, Bunsen?
Well, the unusual family tradition is more kind of, it doesn't happen very often because my brother and I are not often in the same room while singing happy birthday. But it is more the fact that after the song of happy birthday, we then kind of sort of go into an uncanny imitation of our father singing, what is it again? It's
We wish you'd never been born.
Why was he born so beautiful? Why was he born?
Why was he born at all?
Okay, and so it ends up with my brother and I. So everyone goes, happy birthday. They politely clap or whatever. Usually my brother has some issue if my mother has baked the cake because that's a whole separate story.
It's inedible.
It's, well...
Dry?
The word triggering was used the last time that I was
triggering cake.
That I was in the same room with him and a cake my mother had made. So normally everyone finishes singing and then in a very, very deep voice you hear my brother and I kind of going, why was she born so beautiful? Anyway, and we find it hilarious and no one else does. So there you go. That's our family tradition.
Caroline, do you have any unusual family traditions of that nature?
I think you've just got an unusual family.
That's true.
Yeah.
All families are unusual.
We do have a lot of elaborate birthday parties where there's a lot of performance. Maybe there's a clown outfit. Maybe one of my father's patients has been co-opted and becoming a leprechaun.
And there's a lot of capes.
We've had a lot of elaborate capes, a lot of face painting. We actually had to do one. And now that the legacy, the baton has been passed on and we're trying to do it. We tied a lot of donuts in a tree and made kids eat them off strings.
I sort of have a feeling that you
old school games, basically.
Do you know, but I remember going to a birthday or a Christmas party that was at your dad's house, like in 15, 20 years ago or something. There was full performance. There was theme. Everyone's costumes were elaborate. There was dry ice. Like it was insane.
Oh, just one of those parties. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just a Friday night, No.
That party's still happening right now. Yeah.
I just had a sense of the stories that you've told of like your father coming down and singing Phantom of the Opera, or is that just something I've imagined?
Pouring mead for underage children, taking them down into the cellar because it was a ghost party and then the cellar got locked. That was fun. And then it started filling with water. There's been a lot of basically trauma. Trauma is our family tradition.
Well, it's time for our So Uncouth of the Week. And this is kind of an update from a previous So Uncouth of the Week. It's more of a celebratory, perhaps U-turn of So Uncouth. The news has just come out that Mona is appealing against its ladies-only lounge discrimination ruling.
Oh, I was wondering if
so
that was
as we've
happen.
said previously, it was temporarily shut down because there was a tribunal ruling that it was discriminatory, and now they're taking it to the Supreme Court, and they may turn the controversial ladies-only art exhibition into a toilet to allow it to keep banning men. As per the New Daily, and this is how cool the artist and curator Kirsha Kashela is. She said she has plans to reopen it as a bathroom or a church or a place of education because they're areas where you can discriminate on the basis of sex, and that men might be allowed into the lounge under certain conditions. Her quote is, "Perhaps women could bring their laundry in and every Sunday we could allow the men in for a few hours of instructions on folding and ironing." And
that's awesome.
Yeah, she also thanked our friend Jason Lau, who was the man who lodged the complaint to the tribunal, saying it took a special person with real bravery to pursue the action. She said he's taken the heat, but I think we should stop giving him a hard time. Without Mr. Lau, the artwork would not really be notable. We need to move on to the horribleness of men in general rather than a single man.
Is that quote unquote horribleness of men in general?
Quote unquote. She is
That's
just
brilliant.
The coolest. I absolutely want to celebrate Kirsha, and also I want to salute Jason Lau for inadvertently giving the ladies' lounge a leg up all the way to the Supreme Court.
No such thing as bad publicity.
Because you did say that he was not allowed on the Couth.
Yeah, I banned him.
He was not allowed to be part of the Couth, but I see that you're. It's good to see that things have moved.
Well, we're always open to learning, and I think we could do with a Lau leg up too. So anything Jason Lau can offer us, we'll take it.
We insulted you. Come get us. Is that it?
Because we've seen what happens when you do, and it's really great.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
We're open to it. So on that note, I would like to say, cop yous later. Jason Lau.
Take us to court.
Cop yous later.
Cop you in the dunny.
So Uncouth.